quick sort of illustrative purposes of, the role that Kumul and MRDC play, a couple of pages down, Kumul and MRDC play with respect to the funds that are given to the government as such. It's not this page. Go down a couple more pages. It's in the backup. There we go. And so, because the existing system, which is the tax, royalty, and very importantly, the equity system. And you can imagine, I've just put this pie, right? It's for illustrative purposes only, but it demonstrates a pie for what I characterise as revenue sharing for a particular project or investment, right? And on the left-hand side of that pie chart, in green there, is the investors that put the capital into the project. For the existing system, as everybody knows, there is an option, not the obligation, an option for Kumul and MRDC to invest 22.5% in the project at cost at the time that you get to a final investment decision. And so then they become investors, right? Now, anyone who is putting capital into an investment, whether you decide to put the capital into treasury bonds here, which I think are running at 12% interest rate or whatever it is now, or you put it into an investment in something else, a dairy power plant, into whatever investment, the investors in that investment require a minimum return on the investment. That's part of, if you're going to put money into something, you need a minimum return on that investment. And so the revenue that comes out of the project needs to be able to pay off the loans and have a return on those investments. And then once you get to that return, then essentially the government share and the ability for that project to pay taxes and royalties and levies and others is what I've characterised there as the government share. So importantly, as you think about moving to a production sharing contract, firstly, the pie doesn't get any bigger, right, when you move to a production sharing contract. In fact, our experience around the world would suggest that the pie actually gets smaller, that the cost, there is duplication in costs, there are time delays and inefficiencies in that type of system, but those investors still need to make a minimum return on that investment. Right? Now, under production sharing contract, it's and the way that it's being explained is Kumul and MRDC don't want to take on any debt, don't want to then invest in the project, and so that their returns will come out of the government sort of share of the pie. The pie doesn't get any bigger, and if Kumul and MRDC don't invest in the investment part of it, somebody else does, then those investors again need to get that minimum return on capital. And so this discussion around that a production sharing contract will actually improve or increase the early revenues for the investors and for the country through these projects is really, we would say, it is more difficult to do that than the current regime, because Kumul and MRDC, we talked about that Kumul's 5.5 billion kina that's been returned, and MRDC's over 1 billion kina. And so there's a lot of uncertainty clearly how we move forward on a production sharing contract, but that element of a PSC is going to give early returns actually is more difficult, because you've got to give those returns firstly to the investors that are making that investment. I'm sure that sort of helps it.
No, thank you very much, Andrew, because that's important. I think whilst we as an industry respect the government's prerogative to review laws, to change laws, that's absolutely not in dispute. And indeed, for any sovereign nation, it's encouraged that from time to time the government looks at its laws and has this very important discourse, which we're having in this country, about the adequacy of take, how can we do this better. So as an industry, it's very, very important. But the dialogue, it's in a contentious situation right now, Andrew, and as the foundation project and as we reflect back on, I'm going to ask you to just help us in that dialogue, help us unlock some of the thinking. Can you just speak to that?
Yeah, and I suppose, I've thought about this and thought about, it might be helpful for everyone to sort of explain how we at ExxonMobil are feeling about the potential changes in the organic law and production sharing contracts as it relates to PNG. And by doing so, we need to really start with the PNG LNG team and then the analogy to the game of Rugby League. Okay? And I'll get the team to put up here. Let me first explain where we see the team members, the team owner, the coach, the competition, and then we'll move into how the potential changes in the organic law and production sharing contracts relate to the sport of Rugby League. So firstly, let's talk about the PNG LNG team. So ExxonMobil happens to be the captain. We've got Kumul, MRDC, Oil Search, Santos and JX Nippon. The team owner is the Papua New Guinean government. The coach, very important role, Minister of Petroleum. Our competition is Qatar, Australia, United States, Mozambique, Russia, many other countries. And I put in there plus costs. It's really, when you think about reservoir size, reservoir quality, location, cost is part of the competition. When you look at Pyongyang, for example, is a field that's 4.5 trillion cubic feet. Qatar's field is 900 trillion cubic feet. The Pyongyang field is in the middle of the country, 200 kilometres away from the nearest infrastructure and pipeline. And Qatar is all offshore, gas, very easy to extract. The sport that we're talking about is the world LNG market. Let's just say Rugby League for this case. And on the bench, I've put Total, Twinza, Horizon, Repsol, Kina and Iran Energy. There are others as well. So after 5 years of preparation and training, the PNG LNG team entered the global LNG market, or let's say the Rugby World Cup in 2014. The competition was fierce, and our team was full of rookies with just a few seasoned veterans, expatriates, who are draft picked from other teams around the world. As the team continued to play the competition, the world started to stand up and take notice. Taking advantage of a strong preparation, training, and a clear game plan, we entered the World Cup fit and strong. Our closest competition in Australia, Gorgon, Queensland LNG, was slow off the mark, weighed down by cost overruns and poor reliability. But PNG LNG also did not have it easy. As we all know, the prices came off sharply, dropping from well over $100 a barrel to less than $30 a barrel in just 1 year. But the team pulled together and did the PNG equivalent of the All Blacks haka and ploughed ahead. When times got tough, like during the earthquake and security incidents, the team members of MRDC and Kumul were right there in the front row of the scrum, pushing the opposition and competition back. They punched well above their weight and helped drive the team to success. Year after year, the team continued to improve, bringing more and more back to the team owner. In 2019, the team has achieved record results by all measures: record safety, record production, and a massive trophy brought back to the team owner with a winner's cheque of more than 2.2 billion kina in the form of taxes, royalties, development levies, and equity. This was recognised as one of the biggest cheques against the comparable competition in the region in the sport of LNG. By now, the team has notched up an impressive record with more than 10 billion kina returned back to the team owner since they entered the world stage in 2014. Throughout the years, the team hears that the team owner is not quite as happy as the team thought they may be. They ask the team owner why they are not happy, and to which the owner says they have heard that other owners are getting more from their football teams. The captain of the PNG LNG team says, which football teams is the owner referring to? The owner says, as an example, that soccer team that's playing for Malaysia, or the one for Brazil. Those owners are getting way more than we are. PNG LNG captain says, yes, but they play soccer, mainly offshore oil fields, which is more typical for a production sharing environment with no landowners. We're playing rugby. The captain says, what about American football? That is close to rugby. They have onshore gas fields with landowners, and we know that the training and equipment and game plans could certainly help the team perform better. They actually decrease taxes. They decrease the tax rate from 30% to 20%, which has significantly improved their performance against competition. The owner says, no, we don't want to be bringing any or using any of the game plans from American football. Time goes by, and the rugby team PNG LNG continues to perform at top of its field, winning trophy after trophy. Shortly after the record performance of the PNG LNG team, the coach of the team blows his whistle and says, I know you guys and gals have been playing rugby all your lives with an award-winning game plan, but the owner would like to start training you and kitting you out with other football gear and a new game plan. The team is in shock and asks, what football gear and training will we be using? Will it be soccer? Will it be rugby union? Is it Australian rules or American football? The coach says, don't worry, we'll work that out in the future. Just be happy that you'll be trained using some of the gear that have made other football teams successful. The team tries to explain that some countries are really good at soccer, they have offshore oil assets, and those soccer teams do make a lot of money for their team owners, but we're not so sure that the training techniques, production sharing contract, and game plans will work with the PNG rugby teams. The team then asks, do we know who will be on our team? Will we still have Kumul and MRDC? The coach says, no, they won't be on your team anymore. Actually, one will be moving across to the team owner, and the other won't be on the team at all, but don't worry, they'll be getting a regular spectator's fee. The team says, wow, that's a change. We've heard that some of the other football teams have been training really hard and losing weight to compete. We have even heard that some team owners have been giving incentive to team players to improve their performance, reducing taxes, reducing administrative costs. Will we be losing any weight or seeing any incentives for the team as part of the game plan? We've heard about this special economic zone where there is a 15-year tax holiday. Will we be eligible for that? The coach says, no. Actually, as part of your new gear, we're going to be adding a backpack for you. The team asks, what will be in this backpack? How much will this backpack weigh? i.e., taxes and additional costs. The coach says, you don't need to worry about that now. You'll be given that just before kickoff. The team asks, what gear will we be training with? Will it be round balls? Will it be rugby balls? Will the goalposts be 2 or 4? Will we be training to kick the balls between the posts or over them? What's the game plan? The coach replies, you don't need to worry about any of those details yet. Just know you'll be playing rugby and we'll be picking the best techniques and equipment from other codes for you to play with. The coach then says to the team, some of you have played soccer before, haven't you? Worked with production sharing contracts. A couple of the members of the team put their hands up and say, yes, we have, but we were playing soccer on a soccer field. The coach says, great, you can bring those skills to the rugby game. The team members say, but it was different. It was offshore oil and gas and there was no landowners. The coach asks, is soccer football? The team says, well, yes, The coach says, very good, let's move forward. The team asks the coach why this is happening. We thought the owner was happy. Does the owner not like the team players? Are they trying to change them out? The coach says no, but the owner just wants a bigger check, more taxes. The team says, but we can change. We can work harder. Just give us the rugby ball to play with and to keep the goalposts the same, the existing oil and gas legislation. We can help you with the debt concerns. We can give Kumul and MRDC team members more time on the field. When we build our next training camp and fields, we can use more of our local players, greater national content. And we can let those on the bench and in the stands also use some of it when it's complete. Third-party access, domestic gas. We've reduced the number of outside recruits, expatriates. And our local rookies, the SMEs, landowner companies and local workforce are really starting to fire up. The coach replies, the owner's mind is made up. The team is confused, but really likes the team owner, the coach, and the thousands and thousands of supporters and fans, Papua New Guinea's citizens, landowners, and provincial governments. Some members of the bench, Horizon and Repsol, pack up and leave. The rest of the team waits for the coach's instructions to see what the future entails. The team is hoping that the coach can work through these challenges so that we can beat our competition, Qatar, United States, Mozambique, Russia, others, and bring trophies back to the fan base, Papua New Guinean citizens, landowners, provincial government, and also the team owner and players. Our team really wants to play to win, but we need to know the rules. If we have any hope of winning future World Cups, we need to start training now, and we need to know the rules and the training equipment for us to be successful.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you for bringing the analogy with Rugby League, an important sport in Papua New Guinea, and some say a religion. I'm going to leave it like that because I think Andrew has explained this, has given us a really good story, and has left us some very important points to consider. And using the analogy was a brilliant tactic, Andrew. So mine's really the pleasant part now of the webinar. Sorry, that was the wrong choice of words. The whole webinar was really pleasant, team. But mine's just to thank you all. To thank you, Cesar, who you started the talk. Luke across in Ley. Augustine, thank you very much. And Nooni as well, who has had to leave a little bit earlier today. And yourself, Andrew, thank you very much. I think the viewers and the people of Papua New Guinea particularly have appreciated where we've talked and an important part of the ongoing discourse and discussion that's necessary for our country. The Chamber, I think this is our fourth webinar, and we're still discussing, Albert, whether we'll have another webinar or whether this will be the last webinar. But we'll for 2020, but definitely we'll be back in 2021. So this is very important. We appreciate the feedback. We appreciate the efforts of all that have made it possible for us to continue to stay and communicate with our key stakeholders. To the industry out there, we thank you for your support on behalf of the Chamber, and take the opportunity. It's still November, but I think it's timely now to wish you and your families and friends and all of us in our teams a safe and Merry Christmas as well, and indeed a prosperous and positive New Year in 2021, a year that after a tough year of 2020, we're all looking forward to tackle and to grow and prosper. Thank you very much. Thank you for viewers in PNG and overseas, and we trust you've learned a lot more about the PNG LNG project and have benefited from this additional information. Thank you.